Hello and welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is BryanCPSteele. I will be your nerd today and any other day that you watch one of my silly little shows. Alright, so today's going to be, I'm not going to say a fast episode, but it is probably going to be a little shorter than normal, if only because I am swamped. We will get to that in a second. I have got so much going on right now. Okay, so Weekend Bryan. First off, How are you guys doing? Everybody having a good time? Everyone enjoying the weird weather of March, and then suddenly now it's spring again. I don't. Everything's weird. Everything's weird. The world is weird. Somebody reset the Matrix. It has hiccuped. Weekend Bryan. Let's do on a personal level. So last night, I had my medical sleep evaluation device attached to me. It was weird. I had to wear this thing on my chest and this thing in my nose and a thing on my finger, and it all was like taped to me, and I couldn't move around. Like I was supposed to, they were like, you'll be able to sleep just fine. Just try not to sleep on the device. But I basically had to sleep on my back like I was a corpse and kind of keep my finger away from everything because I kept knocking the finger cuff off. It was weird. They said that they only needed like 4 hours worth of good data. And I normally only get about 6 hours of sleep at night anyway. I hope that they have enough data in there to judge me as needing my Darth Vader helmet or whatever. Whatever the case may be, it was a pain in the butt, but I'm glad that it has been taken care of. The device is now back at the doctor's. I dropped it off this morning, and they say here in a couple of days they'll let me know. These are our findings. Go get a machine to help your snoring, to help your breathing, to help your sleeping, so forth and so on. I'm hoping that is the case, and I'm hoping that everything goes nice and smoothly, because depending on how quickly I can get a device, my first convention where I have to room with someone who I love and care about enough to let them sleep is only in a couple of weeks. So may the wheels of justice move quickly. Justice in this case being the medical insurance company people. Weight loss is still. I'm trying to get there. It's gonna be rough. I know I've got conventions coming up, and as we all well know, when Bryan is under the gun, when it comes to work stuff, Bryan does not take the best care of himself. So I'm gonna try to remember to be good and maybe work out now and again. I got too much going on. These next like 2 months are gonna be rough. In the best way. We'll get to that. Let's see, what else? I should thank. I don't like ever saying people's names. Thank you for the donation. Who sent to my CashApp through the description in the video. I appreciate it. The show appreciates it. The family appreciates it. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think there's not a lot personal going on. Just a lot of work stuff, getting ready for Adepticon coming up around the corner. Yeah, trying to stay alive and batten down the hatches. This week, I'm a bachelor here at the house. Natalie is staying with our stepkid across town, staying with our kid across town because it is closer to their school, and they normally through the week they stay with their grandmother so they can just walk to school and whatnot, and saves us a ton of money on tuition. But when the grandmother leaves for a week, it puts us in kind of a lurch because I can't drive back and forth. We're a one-car family, so I can't drive back and forth, 5 times. There's just not that kind of time or gas money. It's just it's not a thing. So in this instance, Natalie goes over and stays with the kid over at Grandma's house, making it easier to get to school and whatnot. But it does mean that I got to batten down the hatches here at the house, taking care of all the animals, taking care of myself, cleaning, cooking, which is not, again, I make it sound like it's such a rough deal. It's not a rough deal. It does also mean that I do a lot of working late into the night. I sometimes work through dinner and not remember, oh, hey, I need to eat. But right now it's actually kind of appreciated because I have got stuff to get done. Yeah, so that's me personal. Everybody's healthy, everybody's doing fine. Yeah, so I think that's it for personal stuff. For game playing, played video games like normal. I was supposed to play three role-playing games last week. I was supposed to play the Godfall game, and then the Waking Realms game, and then my Transformers game, which we'll get to, obviously. You read the thumbnail. But Godfall has been canceled for at least the next month or so, because all of us involved, we're all convention goers, we're all super busy, and it's just, every session it turns into at least one of us has to cancel. So sadly, Godfall is put on hold for the foreseeable future. Waking Realms didn't happen because the DM is sick, or was sick. Hopefully he'll feel better tomorrow and we'll be able to play this weekend. But if not, I know that I've got stuff to do, so it's not a really big deal if I don't get a chance to play. And then we'll get into the Transformers game when we actually talk about today's episode. Let's see. Anything else? Oh, yeah. Professionally. Okay, so professionally, it has been a good week for Bryan. I did some Dungeon in a Box, Skinny Mini Monsters. I love that. It's fun. It's like a day. It's like roughly 1 day's work. But it's just fun. I get to throw some stat blocks to match some art, and then they send them off to their people who subscribe to get their stuff. I love it. I get to come up with interesting variations of different monsters and stuff for D&D, and obviously I keep all the stat blocks too, just so that way I can call upon them if I wish. But it's neat. It's a lot of fun to take a picture. Someone hands you a picture, and you go, okay, I'm looking at this person, and obviously, it could be used as just a random adventurer who has like a green staff. Or I could turn it into like a fairy knight who has, this like sage fairy wisdom thing, and come up with a one-off critter. I dig it. It's fun. But most importantly, it is not super time consuming. It's not like I have to do 20 hours worth of research before I dive in. It's just fun. It's just a neat little instance. I am still doing some consulting for a role-playing game that a client is getting ready to try and publish and put out on Kickstarter. That's ongoing. It's fun. I hope our business arrangement has me employed on retainer all the way up through May. I think he's far enough along. I do not know if he's going to need me that long, but it'll be nice to know that he can call on me if needs be. It's I think it'll be cool. Obviously, while I am not a creative aspect of his game, when it gets closer to Kickstarter, when it gets to the point where he starts wanting to market some of the things that he's doing, I'll probably share it here and let you guys know. because spread the love. It's nice. It's nice to help out and get more eyes on projects and things, especially gamers, budding game designers that are looking to try and kind of get their product out in the world. I wish I would have had people that were pushing my stuff when I was getting started. So it's always nice to do. Still working on a Shadowrun novel. That's ongoing. It will be for a long time. Because of the way the contract is set up, I've got a lot of time to work on it. But it is something that I want to make sure that I put effort towards constantly, so it doesn't get left behind. Warzone is always ongoing. Not only am I painting stuff for Warzone, Alex and I had a little chat. I know that I showed some very cool minis here on the channel recently. Because Adepticon is right around the corner, I need to pause on my showing off of the new sculpts until we get to Adepticon. We've made some agreements and some deals with some people that are going to be taking videos and pictures and spreading them around the gamer sphere. So we don't want to steal their thunder. So what's going to end up happening is that at and after Adepticon, I will have a lot of stuff to show. I'm planning basically the episode that takes place after Adepticon will likely be a lot of slideshow. I'll probably have a lot of stuff, hopefully a lot of clips, maybe some interviews with some people from the show. I'm looking forward to doing a kind of a Warzone focused thing immediately after Adepticon, because we're going to want to talk about how Adepticon went. And since this show for me is really focused on Warzone Eternal, it'll be nice to be able to let you guys know how that went if you weren't there. So there's that. Working on some cool stuff for the Play Renegade program over at Renegade Games right now. Also cemented the fact that I will definitely be involved with the cool Essence 20 mega event that's happening Saturday night at Gen Con. So if you want to be part of that, if you want to have a chance to play at my table at Gen Con, you got to make sure that when those events go live, jump on the Saturday night mega event as soon as you can. Tickets are going to go for that pretty quick. Otherwise, for Renegade, big news this week. If you pre-ordered The Time Is Now, my adventure arc book for Transformers role-playing game, or Across the Stars, the first Essence 20 rules source book for Power Rangers, you got your free PDF copy early just yesterday or earlier this week. And so far the reviews are good. I'm always tense when books are going to come out, especially books that are primarily my doing. If it's a team effort, if there's 4 or 5 people involved to get the product, to create the product, whatever, you never know what's gonna grab somebody's attention, what's gonna be something they like, what's gonna be something they don't like. But these 2 books, for the most part, the writing on them cover to cover was mine. Yes, there's obviously people who assisted, who helped clean up post dev. There's some editing and alterations that happen afterwards. And I would never take that away from anybody. But there is a reason why why these particular projects have me so tense. It's because they're really for Transformers, it's the first big product to come out besides the core rulebook. And for Power Rangers, it's the first source book ever. It's the first rules bearing source book for Essence 20. So it's really it kind of leads the way of, hey, these are what our source books are probably going to look like from here on out. What do you think? And so far, so good. I'm getting a lot of positive reviews. I'm getting a lot of people that say that they enjoy it a great deal. That I hit the nail on the head in certain instances. There are a few places that we already found some typos. That happens. There's a couple of layout mistakes. There's one set of placeholder text that, if you didn't know that it was placeholder text, you'd think that I was making some kind of joke. And for me, on my page, it was, and it is 100% my mistake. I should have looked closer to make sure that my highlighted placeholders were removed, and they were not. The highlight must have fallen off somewhere between moving from Google Drive to Dropbox to files, whatever. Either way, it's not a massive thing. It doesn't break the system. It doesn't make the game unplayable. It doesn't, it's literally just sort of a if you know, wink, oh, that's a mistake kind of thing. So it's going to bug me every time I see it. But for the most part, the book itself is really hitting home with a lot of people. The Discord channel is filled with people talking about the different parts that they love, telling each other, hey, have you checked this out? Have you seen this? It's just, it warms my heart to know that what Elisa and I planned out as this book, what we put together as this book, and what the finished product was, is something that the players are really hanging on to and enjoying. And I think that it sets the right level of expectation for future source books. So when people know that the next one coming down the next one coming down the line is this, they kind of know what to expect. They know what's coming. They know how cool this thing is going to be. If it's something that I planned, that I executed, they know what hopefully I'm looking to do. As that, I don't plan all of the books. I'm not lead on all of the books. I'm not, the one that says what makes it and what doesn't for the entire line or anything like that. I can't speak for every source book, but I can say, if you know that it's a source book that I did the primary principal planning and design, that this is the kind of effort / equivalency you'll find. And so I hope that goes over well. So far, so good. I mentioned that it's a very busy week. Well, so I picked up, after I finish up this Play Renegade scenario, which should be today, I think. I'm getting real close to being able to being done with it. I've got to dive in on a short scenario for another company. I don't know if I can say who it is or what it's about. I'm not going to. I know that particular thing, it's just a little convention work, a little convention scenario work. That's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be fun to write. I should be getting, but it's short. A convention scenario I can normally slam out in a couple of days, and I'm glad for that, because as soon as that's done, I have got a huge, and I don't mean huge as in like 10,000 words or 100,000 words. I mean huge as in the project that I'm getting involved with. It is, I don't want to be hyperbolic, and I don't want to exaggerate, and I don't want people to speculate because of the stack of NDAs that I'm under when it comes to it. But it's going to be cool. It's going to be big. And the part that I'm portraying, the part that I'm involved in this project so far, is probably one of the cooler things that I've been able to do in this industry. So, big thanks to the people who got me involved with that. And when I can say more, I will. I can't right now, legally. But when I can, I will. and when I can point you in the right direction to said products, I will as well. Just know that I'm going to be a busy, busy beaver for the next couple, and that it is the right kind of busy. So, big thumbs up to that. Yeah, that's me professionally. A lot of meetings, a lot of late nights. But yeah, it's part of the job. It's what we do. It's what we do. It's how we do it. It's how the game industry functions. It is what it is. And I hate to say it, I wouldn't have it any other way. So yeah, I think that's pretty much the week in Bryan, which is a long week in Bryan, but it's because there was a lot to talk about. Now let's talk about the first session of my non-playtest Transformers role-playing game campaign that I am running at home for in person for a couple of my friends and family. So while one of the people at the table is one of my playtesters, he knows it is not a playtest game. It is just we're playing straight out of the books as they get published. I'm not springing new surprises or anything weird on them. I'm running this like I would run any other game that I don't work for. I'm just, here it is. It is the name of the campaign is The Echoes of Alpha Trion. They got a little bit of a hint, a little bit of a taste of the main plot. I dropped a hint to them, but in the next session they'll get the other foot will fall, and they'll really get the oh, that's what we're doing moment. But the team of Autobots is initially it is Splice, a street racing Maserati kind of twitchy spark experimental Autobot played by my wife. Splice is like I said, street racer, loves guns, drive fast, shoot a lot, and try to ignore the fact that you grew up in a lab. We have Yukon. Yukon is a big, like dually off-road truck, big, 4,000 pounder, just monster. That is actually a scientist. He's an off-road prospector, out, has always been around looking for salvage and parts and devices and energon and things. Played by my friend Bill. We have Ghost. Ghost is a kind of a souped-up off-road scout motorcycle, who specializes in like close combat. Kind of like an off-road scout ninja. And Ghost sadly could not be at the first session. He got sick last minute. So he's played by Chris, one of my actual playtest type people for multiple games that we've been involved with. But Chris is playing got sick, so he could not play Ghost, but we did have Ghost tag along. We had his mission requisitions for a bunch of smoke grenades and things, more or less, so I could use him as a plot device and kind of keep him out of harm's way until because I never knew exactly how far along in the session he was going to be. And then there's Watchdog, who is played by my friend Justin. You actually met Justin on a Q&A with a gamer a few months back. He runs a lot of convention scenarios and things for Renegade. So I'm glad to be able to get him at an Essence 20 table as a player and not a GM. And I think that hopefully maybe that will help him even be a better GM at conventions in the future. The Watchdog is a seeker scout that converts into a police helicopter. Now, there was a funny moment. I'm going to totally throw Justin under the bus. There was a funny moment during our first session where everyone was kind of introducing each other, and Natalie goes, "I'm Splice. I'm a Maserati. I'm a racer." Bill's like, "I'm Yukon. I'm this big prospector truck," and Justin goes, "I'm a police helicopter." Or it was instead of his name, he was like, "I'm police helicopter," and the way he said it, I don't know if he was like between breaths or something. It sounded so, like broken, addled English. Just the "I am police helicopter." We were like, so that's your name? Okay, you're police helicopter, and it just became this running gag. It was funny. The four of them, 3 players, 1 autopilot, were tasked by Ironhide to go and test Ironhide's skill at aiming the Autobot road. Basically, the ground-based Earth teleport system. It's a physical, like an actual like wormhole teleport system that lets Autobots travel across the globe very quickly and without any risk of being found out by Decepticons and government agencies and things. And while normally Perceptor or Wheeljack would be the one that operates it, Ironhide wanted to give it a try, and so he volunteered this team of Autobots to go on a quick little, grab run where there are some containers that a satellite picked up showing energon signatures. And he wanted to make sure that, while Optimus and Ratchet and Perceptor are investigating some outer space signals, trying to map out a way to a lost colony, the team would be Autobot roaded to this place. They would report back how close Ironhide got to the mark, his aiming skills. They would find these crates and then they would return. Easy peasy. Well, of course, it's never that easy peasy. The Autobot road, Ironhide missed by a few miles, and so they had to drive through a tiny little truck stop town to get to where they were supposed to be going. One of them was driving a little erratically and got pulled over, but did a real good job of using their holomatter avatar to talk the cop into kind of an easier state, and they parted ways and everything was great. But eventually they learn to go to this nearby nuclear testing crater where the containers are. They get to the containers, and lo and behold, one of the vehicles one of the construction vehicles in the crater is a Decepticon engineer drone. It transforms. It converts into its bot mode, starts fighting them. The explosions and things cause one of the containers that are there to open and outspill a couple of Insecticon drones. There's some fighting. Again, this is for almost everyone at the table, this is their first Essence 20 game. So it was a lot of, all right, here's how the dice work, here's how your attacks work, here's how upshifting works. It was a lot of getting people ready. That's why it wasn't a massively dangerous fight, but it did give them, they were able to figure out what they needed to do. There was some energon spent, that kind of thing. During that fight, in one of the containers, a small frazzle, wire-haired Autobot by the name of Beaker comes out and reveals that he was kidnapped from off-planet and that he has never been to the Ark, but he is still an Autobot, and they rescue him. There is some tension. They don't know who he is. He doesn't know who they are. But they figure it out relatively quickly that if the Decepticons grabbed him and took him, it's obviously a good thing for them to rescue him and get him away from them. But they still need to do the mission, and the mission at hand was to gather up those energon-bearing crates and then come back, report back to Ironhide about how close he got to the Autobot with the Autobot Road. They get through all those sorts of things. They start gathering stuff up, and that's when Watchdog notices that a small yellow and black Cybertronian bird flew away off the edge of the crater, the far edge of the crater, and so he goes to give pursuit. He manages to roll astronomically well, avoids being seen. They see the bird fly into a cave, and he lands. Everyone reconnoiters at the cave. When they get there, they hear that telltale the voice. For the people who know Transformers, they know the voice. And there was at least one player at the table that went, ooh. Oh yeah, Beaker is the last member of the team, by the way, played by my friend Nathan, who I've known for many, many years, and he is a little techie scientist who turns into a white Mini Cooper. It's adorable. So they hear they hear at the cave that droning, mission accomplished, buzzsaw return, and they get ready. They're like, okay, we're gonna get in there. We're gonna jump whoever it is, or we're gonna find out what's going on. They get in there and they discover there's a bunch of space bridging equipment, and one of them notices that there is a bomb. And so, of course, the techie looks at the bomb and is like, what's this? What's this? What's this? And discovers that not only is it a bomb, but it is like a wartime antimatter device. Like, this is not something that even Decepticons use frivolously. And as a GM, I expected them to hightail it out of there, to be like, oh no, get away, and run, when I said that it was going to be like, take up the whole cavern worth of explosion. And they did not. Instead, they were like, well, Splice is fast enough. If we get it off of the control pedestal, she can drive it minimum safe distance, and then get back fast enough that before it goes off. And I was going to kind of urge them to, hey, there's only 10 seconds left on the clock or anything, but the idea of this happening, and the street racer getting to use their racing ability, and the techies basically being able to, since they can't defuse the bomb, they can at least remove it from the electrical panel and prepare it for travel. And it was a cool moment that I'm like, nah, I gotta go with it. And so they rolled their dice. In my first Essence 20 game ever, I saw a naturally rolled 30. Spending Energon, spending story point for specialization. It was amazing. And basically the scientists knew exactly what to do to make the bomb mobile, but the antimatter particles had already mixed, and it was going to explode within a minute and a half, period, dot, end of story. So Splice grabbed it, drove like a bat out of hell into the Badlands. Watchdog took flight to be able to use geometry to figure out roughly how far it could be before it won't hurt anybody or blow up the cave, and that Splice would have enough time to turn around and get out of there. Everybody made good rolls. It was awesome. It was really, really cool. The antimatter device explodes, creates a second crater, but the shock wave almost sent Splice end over end, as it whooshed by. Did a bunch of damage to her, but she didn't actually get defeated. But it definitely riddled her full of holes and dents and scorch marks. And it was after the explosion where everyone was basically back at the cave. I had Ghost sort of limping Splice back to the cave. So all of these Autobots are now at the cave with this old space bridging equipment and an indeterminate amount of time before human authorities come to check out what the explosion was, before the Decepticons come to see whether or not their bomb did the trick, that kind of thing. That was basically where we chose to end the session, and I've got to say that I love Essence 20. I love this. I know that I'm super biased to help make the system, but I love the looseness of the rules in the way that, like, there were times where the players asked me if they could do things, and I'm like, yeah, sure, that makes sense. Use this skill, use that skill. In one instance, Yukon wasn't sure how tough these Insecticons were, so when one of them came over to try and give him a chomp, he looked at me and said, "Hey, can I use my willpower is there a way for me to use my willpower defense against this?" And I'm like, well, you have to figure out how to outsmart the Decepticon in question. And he's like, okay. And so he grabbed the sparkless body of the engineer who had been knocked out already, who had already been defeated, and basically held him up as a decoy for the Insecticon to chomp down on. And sure enough, it worked. The dice fell right, and so this Insecticon grabs this engineer husk and wiggles away and is like tearing into and trying to get that last little bit of energon that's in him. And while Bill felt super, haha, I did it. I used my willpower defense because it was awesome. I also explained to him that, well, there's no more husks, there's no more bodies of engineers. That one's being chewed on. So when the second Insecticon comes in, you're gonna have to defend yourself like you should. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I think everybody had a good time. It seemed that way. I felt bad that Chris couldn't make it, so we brought him up to speed through electronic messaging, and hopefully at the next session he will have a little bit more. He'll actually be there and have a little bit more input as to what's going on. Because I always hate steering people's characters for them. Because what if I did something that they wouldn't do? What if I made a choice that they would do the opposite? I don't like being put in that position. So I'm glad. I hope that we'll be able to plan the next session around him, or with everyone there, because not only do we need to have the conversation between Beaker and the team to figure out where Beaker is from and why the Decepticons had kidnapped him, but the team also needs to get back to the Ark, turn in their requisitions, and actually get the first. This was just kind of a preliminary, like, prologue. The actual first part of the scenario in question, they're going to have more requisitions, and that always takes time, but it will be nice to know that we're moving that forward. So I'm excited. It was a lot of fun. I hope everybody had a good time. I think everyone had a good time, and it does bring us closer to being able to use some of the information in The Time Is Now as plot points and narratives and things, because while even though I wrote the book, I don't want to run out of the book in this instance. I want to run their own narrative, but I do believe that there's enough of that narrative that crosses with The Time Is Now that I'll be able to use a lot of those scenes and things pretty seamlessly. Awesome. Super busy, happy, got to play some games. Can't wait for the next couple of weeks to move on. It's a good time. It's a good time to be a Bryan. Thank you again for watching. Thank you, anonymous donor. Well, anonymous for the fans are concerned. Thank you, donor, to the Cash App. And you know how it is. Stay safe, wear a mask, get boosted, get vaccinated. You know, we want to make sure people stay nice and healthy. You know, put a smile on your face and try to leave every room a little happier than when you got there. And play some games. We'll see you in a week for the pre-Adepticon primer.